Uh, I just have a few questions. First one, so if a nurse is diploma and had finished its studies, what the necessary papers that it's acquire while it's still here? What do we need to have to prepare here in Morocco first before we go there? What are the necessary things first? And after that, I want to know the proceed that which come in after in the United States. We have test there, or we have a period of and training in the hospital, and about things about the location. That's it. That's my question.
Maybe Isa, if you want to answer the first part of that question, and then I can explain to her about the deployment part. So about the requirements that she was asking about.
All right. Thank you very much. I couldn't get your name very well. If I could understand what you said, is that having you got a diploma here in your own country and you want to come into United Kingdom. First question is that I think the NMC would like to find out whether your diploma is equivalent to the degree the nurses have currently in the UK. Or your qualification, your training module is almost the same thing, contains a lot of training requirements as it is in United Kingdom. I remember during our time, we have to send our transcript to NMC. So they will have to evaluate whether your training is required. That is the same thing like what it is. If that one is achieved, then you have to prepare for the IELTS, which is a test of English language. And if that one passes the required point, which is, I think, it's 7.4 you have to get in that regard. So if you got that one, then you also have to do the CBT, which is about the objective structure. That is part one I was talking about last time in that regard. So once you pass those ones, then you can be able to now start preparing for your OSCE and find the process of coming to UK. And if you are able to pass your OSCE in UK, Roger could be covering that, but we have what we call a preceptorship in terms of support that we give each individual overseas nurse to be able to adapt to the practice in UK. We give you a mentor. The hospital give a mentor that support each candidate, employee at that particular period before you are allowed. So they also do a little bit of their competency within the hospital that you have to do in that regard. So in all the process is to make you a safe practitioner when you are settled in UK. All right. Is that clear? Roderick, you want to add to that?
Yeah. So thank you, Isa, and thank you for that question. So just to add to what Isa has mentioned, I think it's very important that the person who asked the question has already started looking at the documentations that she requires, which is very important because you can't move from one country to another without completing those requirements. So she's already getting her experience back in her country, which is very important because that is one requirement, that you at least have 1 year of clinical experience to your country of origin, at least a year of experience before you can apply to NMC. And NMC, as you know, is the regulating body for all the nurses. NMC stands for Nursing and Midwifery Council. So it regulates the practice of all the nurses and all the midwives that work in the United Kingdom. So if you started processing your papers in your country and getting your English exam, this is very important because you need to acquire a grade of 7 at least in all levels of your IELTS exam for you to qualify for a nursing job. The OSCE training will be done as a practical exam when you get into UK. But like what we are doing now is we will start preparing those of you who will be successful in the first stage to at least gain some insights of your OSCE and how it will run, so that we don't just let you deal with that problem when you get here. We are already supporting you before you even get here, so that when you do the practical exam of OSCE, you already know what it is, you already have a background on what to do and what are the steps. So those are very important details. Preceptorship and mentorship are part of what the employee will be providing. I myself, I registered as a professional mentor and a preceptor in my hospital. I took an extra course to get a professional mentoring course in the Middlesex University in London. So every nurse who is coming to the country, before they get the NMC PIN registration, which is your license to practice as a fully qualified nurse, you will be assigned a preceptor who will do a competency booklet. There is a booklet, so there are things that it's like going back to school when you have competencies before you get a grade. So you will be working alongside with your mentor in everything that you do in the hospital, like giving medications, taking out bloods, or putting catheters, things like that. I work in theater, so my role as a preceptor is to make sure that the newly qualified nurse or whoever's coming overseas will know how to scrub their hands, how to clean their hands properly, practice aseptic technique. They know about infection control prevention, and they know about the different types of procedures, and start giving them different types of cases that they can scrub for in theaters, from small going to the more complex cases. I think the most important thing as well is for me to highlight that you will not be left when you get to the country, to the airport. From the airport, we will come and pick you up. We will find a place for you to settle with your employer. We will work alongside with the employer to make sure that you get a proper accommodation, that you get some allowance of to help you buy the important commodities that you need. Maybe some phone cards for you to make your call to your relatives, to let them know that you already reached the country. All those things have been are part of our role to help all of you to settle in well, and not to feel that you're left alone once you get to this country. So we will be there to support you until you get your NMC PIN number registration.
So, en résumé, si je me permets d'essayer, je dis toujours essayer parce que mon français n'est pas au meilleur niveau qu'il a été il y a 23 ans. C'est le premier point, c'est l'anglais, l'examen IELTS. Vous devez avoir 7 comme résultat. Et puis, après ça, il y a un enregistrement avec le conseil des infirmiers et des sages-femmes qui se fait électroniquement. Normalement, ils vous répondent au bout de 35 jours. Ils voient votre certificat et comme quoi vous avez un niveau d'anglais qui est acceptable. Et une chose qui est importante, c'est d'avoir une année d'expérience dans votre pays. Ça rajoute au dossier. Et dans ces 35 jours, normalement, le conseil d'infirmiers et de sages-femmes, ils vous répondent comme quoi c'est bon, ou vous devez faire ça ou ça. Et vous commencez à préparer pour les QCM, la première partie que vous allez prendre dans votre pays. Et lorsque vous passez cet examen de QCM, vous avez le droit de venir en ce pays. L'hôpital qui va vous recruter, c'est l'hôpital qui va s'en charger. Il vous donne normalement un poste de aide-soignant pour 6 mois. Et durant ces 6 mois, il vous prépare pour l'examen. L'hôpital, il a intérêt pour vous de passer l'examen parce qu'ils ont besoin de vous. Durant ces 6 mois, vous avez un salaire. Et comme Rodrigue, il a dit, c'est un accompagnement vraiment tout près. Normalement, ça se passe, vous allez avoir un encadreur, et cet encadreur, généralement, il travaille avec une personne ou 2 personnes, vraiment tout près. Dans tous les domaines, dans 6 mois, il s'assure que la personne il est vraiment prête à travailler dans les hôpitaux britanniques, et ils sont prêts à prendre l'examen du conseil d'infirmiers et de sage-femme. Une fois vous prenez cet examen pratique, qui est normalement payé par l'hôpital, encore une fois, vous avez l'enregistrement avec le conseil d'infirmiers et vous êtes libre de travailler comme infirmière. Normalement, vous commencez d'une échelle 5 et vous progressez selon votre désir et votre travail. OK, j'espère que c'est clair.
Oui, c'est clair. Merci beaucoup.
Another questions?
Madame Hedia, vous voulez dire quelque chose?
Oui.
Oui.
Bonjour tout le monde. Alors, je parle anglais pour que je reçoive tout simplement la réponse. Alors, I'm Garbi Hedia, responsible for employability at UPSAT. I want to know some details concerning the time devoted to the process of the equivalence of the diploma. Please. Thank you.
What
Yes,
did you say?
How long would it take for a candidate to do the exams and all that?
Can I answer that question briefly?
Yeah.
So what we require is for once you come here and pass all the exams from your country, and you get an offer letter from NMC, we can start looking for a potential deployment hospital or clinical area that you can work. From that point, and you will be assigned a preceptor. Usually it takes 6 months for you to complete all the requirements from our side here, including the OSCE examination. So you will be given maximum of 6 months to get your OSCE, and hopefully you take your OSCE exam, you pass it, you will apply for your PIN registration right there and then, and your registration will come in the next two weeks, maximum to 3 weeks or a month. So 6 months is the maximum time that you will have to spend as a trainee before you get your PIN number.
I think that the length of time will depend on each candidate and their level of English. I think that if we start from the beginning, having a 7 point in IELTS, it's really needs a lot of work. So if you are intermediate in English right now, you probably need about 3 months really solid to prepare for the IELTS. And the exam for the IELTS is different from other exams. It's not the TOEFL, okay? It's a special preparation. But I would say if you really sit down and prepare for the IELTS to have 7, it's feasible. Once you do that, as I said, you register with the Conseil or the NMC, the Nursing and Midwifery Council. Once you send your application, by law, they have to answer you within 35 days to tell you that whether your application there. But generally, the application is acceptable once you have your diploma and you have 1 year experience and 7 point in IELTS. And the preparation for the MCQs, again, it depends on people, how their knowledge. It's about what you already studied. Of course, you did that in French, so that needs some adaptation. But I would say, I haven't tried to take the exam, but it would take about 6 months or so. And once you pass that, it's only having the visa, which would depend on every country consulate. So you apply and they will reply to you. And once you get the visa, you are in the UK. And that process to take the exam for to be a nurse is 6 months. So as we said in the previous webinars, for those who are already qualified, that's exactly what will take them. Probably it will take them about a year really to be in UK. So it needs some work. It's an investment in time and energy. For the young guys who are just starting the first year, if they really want to think about having a career in the UK, it's better for them to start at year 1 in the school. So you start learning English, you do medical English, and you start learning. We are going to have some programs which add to your training. By year 3, when you are qualified, you are already ready. As what we are trying to do now is just to replicate what's happening in India and Philippines. Those 2 countries, they already speak English. And we are just trying to build up this recruitment from North Africa. We are just trying to start it. So it will take time to get more people there. But if there are people who they think that they want to start the process, that's where we can help them in matter of preparing for the IELTS, preparing for the MCQs, getting here and preparing for the exam. So there are 2 really big two parts of the candidates who 2 type of candidates. So how much costs all the procedure? The cost is your taking the exam, English exam, and the cost is the MCQs. The MCQs, I think they are about 150, something like that, Roderick?
How about 150? Yeah, at the moment.
So that's MCQs. As I said, in matter of the other exam, normally the hospital pay for it. Most hospitals pay for it, and even for the immigration, the hospital pay for it because they are so desperate. So you are going to invest in you learning English. You are going to invest in you taking the IELTS exam and preparing for the MCQs. Once you do this 2 things, the rest it comes from the hospital.